If you have a big enterprise website, you're playing SEO with different rules. And many huge businesses don't know that they have to do these 6 things differently if they want to rank in Google. Okay, 6 things. But did I just come up with these things now? Not really. I've actually been doing SEO for huge enterprises for 8 years. And the craziest thing I found out is that despite doing classic SEO, it was only when I did the 6 things I'm going to explain in this video that some clients went, for example, from 20 to 60K visitors a month. So let me show you how to transform your website. Let's get to it. The number one thing you have to fix if you have a big enterprise website is your internal linking. An internal link is when you add a link from a page of your website to another page from your website, like here. And Google uses these links to not only find your pages, but to understand how important they are for you and for Google to actually rank. So you have an enterprise website, so we're gonna do it the pro way, which is with a crawler that mimics how Google is going to visit your website. And the number one is called Screaming Frog. The link of the tool is in the description. And what you first have to do is to put the URL of your website up here and then just press start. And assuming it's a big website, it might actually take a few hours. This client of mine had over 5,000 URLs. It's an enterprise e-commerce and it took quite a bit. It looks really scary. There's so many things you could do. But here's how to identify the issues with internal links. You have to go here and click HTML instead of all. And then you stay in the internal tab and then you just scroll all the way here until you find in links. That what essentially counts is the amount of internal links that URL that is in that row has. So what you want is to just press and it will sort by the lowest. So if you see zeros, it means those are orphan pages that don't have any internal links, and probably Google will never find them because Google cannot reach those pages if it lands in the homepage and goes from link to link like a crawler or a spider. Another mega cool thing you can do, and a lot of people don't know, is to actually give it a score that uses the same logic that Google's algorithm uses to give a score in terms of if a page is important for them and essentially for you. So the more internal links it has and the more they are placed in important places, the higher the score. So to activate this, you actually need to do the whole crawl once and then go to crawl analysis and then just start. And it will analyze several things and one of them is here. It will give it a score. The problem is that you cannot really go one by one looking at all these URLs and putting an internal link from somewhere in the website to that URL. That's just completely impossible to do. So the best way to do it is to visualize your website and understand the different sections. And Screaming Frog also helps you with that. You can see their visualizations and you can press directory tree graph. This graph will be specifically helpful if you've divided your website in paths correctly. So for example, a website might have the domain and then slash and then the page. But for example, if this page is a blog, it might actually be under /guides or /blogs, and then every blog is inside that. That is a directory path, and it's how essentially you separate and structure your website, and it will help you in this situation, for example, or with analytics. So hopefully you have one of those websites that when you have it all organized, you can see it looks like this. It looks scary, but as an SEO for me, it looks beautiful. This is a huge e-commerce with so many URLs and so many products, and you can see all of them are categorized by sections. This is a product category, these are the products inside it, and so on. So for example, if you see down here, you have essentially the blogs all together and the guides, and they're all in here. So you can set up with your developers, which we'll speak later about that, a rule where you internally link to all the blogs together and that it works automatically. So every time you create a new blog, it will be internally linked. That's an interesting concept, but how does it actually look like in a page? Pretty simple. Here you have a blog, and what we've done is all the way down, you have a view related articles. That's the typical one you have. And then in here, it looks like there's 3, but there's actually a carousel that lets you see many of them. And if you have a developer that's good with website speed, you can actually add a huge amount of blogs. With my client, I almost have 100 blogs in here. So now each blog is internally linking to all the blogs in the website. So now they're all internally linked to each other. If your website is really big and you really cannot put, let's say, 1,000 blogs in there because it will kill the website speed. If you add 1,000 blogs inside this element here, you can divide your blogs by sections. So for example, with this client, I had the guides, but there were different sections of guides. So what we did is that inside each blog, we only internally link to the blogs inside that section. So you can see here, there was only one other blog inside the sections of other languages Scandinavia, so we internally link to it. Now, not all the blogs are internally linking to each other, but they are internally linking with the context. And actually, some people might say that this is even better for Google because it can understand these internal linking clusters. The important thing here is that your SEO pages need to have internal links. But that's not really enough. Google has to reach your blogs from the homepage. So to do that, you can do the classic action of adding a link in your navbar to all the blogs that if I open, it will suddenly show all the blogs that I have in the website. And that's super important because that link appears in the navbar, and the navbar appears in all the pages of the website. So all the pages of the website have a link to the page that has all the blogs. So therefore, all the blogs will actually have links. But instead of doing that, you can go one step ahead and actually, instead of just adding a link to all the guides or blogs, you can actually add links of individual blogs. So the unique individual blogs actually have links from all the pages of the website because it's in the navbar and all the pages have the navbar. And again, you can add here, with my clients, I normally do 50, and there's not many websites that do this. And it's super important that you do so. But even more important than that is you need to internally link to your transactional pages, not just to the blogs that are informational pages. These transactional pages are the ones that make you money. So if you have an enterprise website, you might have a lot of these transactional pages and you cannot just link them in the navbar. It will become too big. So what you have to do is get creative. For example, with this enterprise real estate agency, we had over 10,000 pages that showcase homes in a specific area with a specific variable. So what we did is added an introductory link that will help Google find all the pages. So Google will be in the homepage and it will open the navbar and click to our main location, homes for sale in California. So it will land in this page. But as you can see, if you scroll to the bottom, you can now see that there's links to all the other variables. So instead of homes, types of homes for sale in California and prices. And all of these are SEO pages. So now for all these SEO pages, Google can actually find them and reach them. And you can actually even look at other locations. We link to the introductory home for sale page, but now for another location like Walnut Creek. And then the same thing, if you scroll down, you will see all the SEO pages for that location only. So you can see it's also about getting creative. But the important thing is that you think like Google, and those pages need to have links. The more the better, and they need to be from important sections. And to help yourself with that, you use Screaming Frog, which crawls the website like Google will do, so you're able to see everything. Okay, so you've already crawled your website with Screaming Frog, and you can actually do it too with Ahrefs. And the great thing is that these tools, when they crawl the website, they are set up to show you, the SEO, what are the actual technical issues that exist in this website. So what I recommend you to do is to set up a frequency where you crawl the website once in a while. It can be every month or every week, and then you have something to compare to every time period. So for example, in Screaming Frog, you can just click here in issues, and it's going to point out a few issues as well as how critical they are, which is super helpful. And the same in Ahrefs if you go to all the issues. And the great thing is that it's actually going to show you what pages actually have these issues, and it's going to explain to you what the issue is and even how to fix it if you click right here. So what I do is I use the sort of SEO experience finesse to truly understand what's actually an issue that's low-hanging fruit, meaning that is critical to fix. Because it's important that if you have an enterprise website, you don't try to fix everything at once. You have a set amount of resources and they need to go into the most impactful action, or in this case, fix. So what I do is I note it down and then I create a loom for my client. So for you, it could be for your client or the stakeholders or manager. And then you get approval from this person to see if they want to fix it or not. Here I have it. And then in this case, I also create a file with all the URLs that are affected in this specific issue. This way, the developer can come here and not only understand what the issue is with the loom, but actually go and fix it. And this is a super important thing I learned over the years. Developers are going to do what you tell them. So it's your responsibility as an SEO to tell them not only the correct things, but tell them everything they need for that thing to get fixed. Do not assume that they're going to do extra things that you want them to do, but you didn't tell them, so you expect it, because they're just developers. Of course, you could have developers that are also sort of great SEOs and so on. But in general, I found over the years that it's just your responsibility as an SEO to tell them absolutely everything. It's annoying, it's super hard work, but at the end of the day, it's our job. Some examples of issues is seeing a lot of pages that essentially don't work, don't load, like 404 or 4XX. so seeing a high amount here. Pages that have a no index that should not have it, that they're actually SEO pages and you added a no index, as well as pages that are not in your sitemap. Every SEO page that you want to rank should be in your sitemap. And like I said in the other chapter, the orphan pages, pages that don't have internal links, you don't want a high amount of them, or you don't want any really. What I said should help you get found by Google and actually index, which means that your pages are showing in Google. But if you have the problem that your pages are not showing in Google, just go to this tutorial right here that I recorded, which is linked in the description and should appear up here. And you can click to actually watch the whole thing and start to get your pages indexed in Google, because this is almost like an art. It's like Google sometimes doesn't want to index them. You don't know why. You've done everything that you should do. So you have to do like some little actions, some tricky ones as well that a lot of people don't know. So I cover all of them in that video. I'm gonna assume you've already done a full keyword research where you find all the keywords that all your potential clients could be searching wherever they are in their buying journey. So here, for example, I have a client where we found 400,000 keywords. Yes, the more the better. I go big with my clients, but if you're an enterprise website, of course, you are either very famous or have different products or different services. So you're gonna get a lot of keywords that are searched by your customers. But a lot of SEOs just stay in this step. They have all the keywords, all the information, and they might just go one by one or play with filters to actually decide what to create. But that is a huge mistake. Let's look at these two keywords that we have here. One of them is when do feet stop growing, and the other one is when do men feet stop growing. So when you look at them, they're similar, but if you were to scroll through here and just look, it might actually seem like you should create a page for one, why do feet stop growing, and another page for the other one to talk only about men. But when we look at Google's results and the websites that are ranking, we can see that the same websites are ranking for both keywords. Which, if you look at it from the other side, let's say we were Healthlines SEOs, with one page, they managed to rank for both keywords. So you should create one page to rank for both keywords, not two pages. Obviously, you cannot do this one by one, checking each keyword. So you can do it in bulk with this tool right here that I've used for years. And the link is in the description. You can check it out. But what it essentially does is it will look at all the keywords you have here. Yes, even if it's 400,000, and it will search them in Google, extract the results, and see if the URLs compare to each other or not, meaning the same URLs are ranking or not. It might look like the keyword research again, but this row here, divorce rate in Australia, for example, is not a keyword anymore. It's a page we could create. Because if I scroll here, all the scary SEO data in the middle, you open it and you see that that page can rank for all these keywords together. So in other words, when you search this keyword here, and let's say this keyword right here, they share results. That's why the tool put them all together. So it's the fastest way to reverse engineer the Google results, avoid mistakes of creating or not creating pages when you should have. And not only that, now we have a lot of keywords to actually target in this page, and we know what to talk about in this page. We have all of this. And another crucial thing, especially if you have an enterprise website, is that you've probably been doing SEO already. So you want to know how your research plays against what you've been doing already. So the great thing is that the tool actually considers your website and pulls the ranking of a specific URL you might have against that cluster. So my client is ranking 93, basically not ranking for the keyword criminal law. So this could help you do thousands of things. For example, you can sort A to Z and you'll be able to see where you are ranking. You do exist, Google considers you, but not doing it very well. A second thing out of thousands is that you might actually see that Google is considering a page of yours for a specific keyword or cluster, but you see, this page is about assault charges. It's a service page that offers services, but this keyword is not really about that specifically, and it's more of a blog. So Google is getting confused. It's ranking a weird page of yours, and it's not really the correct one. So that's something to fix. One of the most crucial things I did with my enterprise clients, that was the difference between doing normal SEO and enterprise SEO, is the concept of looking at what's working and doing more of that. So first we need to know what's working. So in the SEO world, this means you want to look at the performance of all your pages individually, page by page. This looks very scary. It's a bit complicated to set up. I might do a video in the future about that. But essentially what you're seeing is all the pages we created. And here you can see the amount of clicks that they've gotten, with the graph and the amount of impressions. And this is on a month per month basis, as you can see here, that it's been added automatically actually. So one thing you could do, let me zoom in, is to go one by one and start to see, oh, what's working, what's not working, and so on. But we're an enterprise, right? We need to do things faster, bigger, because the resources are limited. So doing a bit of research, speaking with ChatGPT, you know, like the voice note feature. All my friends tell me that is my new girlfriend because I'm speaking all the time with ChatGPT. I find out something amazing, that this is why I love it. And it's called tokenization. It's a technique that I think is used in research and also statistics. And before I do a brief summary, I did a video specifically just about this. So it will be linked in the description and in the top right here. You can just, after this video, watch that one and you'll know how to do it. But the concept is simple. You look at a set of data, in this case, that this page, or the most important keyword that this page is targeting. But you can also put all the keywords that the page is targeting in there, that's okay. And you compare it against a data point. In this case, if we zoom out again, we're gonna compare it to the amount of clicks that URL, let's say this one, got that month, 650. And you can actually compare it against different data sets. So we can use that one, and we can also use the frequency, the amount of times that each specific word in here has been mentioned. And that's exactly what tokenization is. It's going to look at all the words in here and single them out into single words. So it will separate how in one row, to in one row, help in one row, and so on. So it looks something like here in my video. And it will count how many times has the word brain has been mentioned in my list. So in here, and I don't show it in the video, but you can also attach the monthly clicks that it got. So brain, if it's mentioned, let's say here, brain has been mentioned. So the word brain will be attached with 670. And if it's mentioned again here and there's 19, it will add 670 with 19 and so on. So once you see that, you'll be able to see two things. What topics are mentioned several times have a high frequency. So that means that topic, you've used it in several SEO opportunities and pages. And secondly, how well has it worked? That's the column of the clicks. So that's it. That's really the summary, but how to do it exactly, because you need ChatGPT's help, you can watch it in the video that I'm showing here right now. And for example, with this client, it helped us identify something unbelievable. So we saw via tokenization that any page we created that had the topic activity worked really well. So we created one of them and we got a huge amount of clicks a month. So we said, okay, let's create more of that. And you can see that everything we created afterwards has worked pretty well, especially with one getting 300 clicks a month. Of course, from this point onwards, you need a lot of brainstorming and critical thinking to identify, was it the topic of activity that's actually doing it, or was it something else? So you need to sort of look at all the data and compare it to each other. But once you have all of these and you do tokenization, it shouldn't take too long to do it. Now we need to improve your authority so Google trusts you more. In this case, you are an enterprise, so there's a high chance you have a brand already, you have backlinks and so on. So I won't teach you how to do that. But there's one little trick that takes you 5 minutes that a lot of people don't know that's absolutely crucial. And that is creating an account in the website Wikidata. So all you have to do is sign in, create an account, and then add all your business information here, and it will appear as a profile. Okay, but why is this relevant? Well, funny enough, it's because Google officially stated that they use Wikidata as one of the main sources of information to understand what an entity is and how to relate it to the website. So for example, Google can find and understand that this is the enterprise website and what it is that they do. It becomes more clear to them or to it what it is by having and cross-checking the data inside Wikidata. And this could make you achieve two things. One of them is that sort of difficult to get, but that every big brand and enterprise wants, is the actual Google Knowledge panel. When people search your brand name, you get a huge panel with a lot of information about your business. Yes, you don't just get this by creating a Wikidata account. There's so many things there. One of them being doing actual SEO and growing as a website. But when we created the Wikidata, we got this. So there's some correlation there. And secondly, of course, every SEO page you create from that point onwards will rank better because Google sees you as a bigger authority. You might have heard of EEAT. This is what it means: expertise, authoritativeness, it's like a long word. Now, one important thing, as you can see here, preparing my YouTube video, I was going to explain so many other points to do that will improve your authority. but honestly, it's getting a bit too long. So you just have to go to the video that will appear here and it will be linked in the description. Although it's about local SEO, I'm explaining every step here in one part of the video. So it's really important that you go there and watch it. There's the alarm on my phone. I can see the video is getting long. So now it's your turn, okay? The final thing that a lot of businesses do wrong, you need to track the most important stuff. And in an enterprise SEO website, it's even more important because you have more URLs and more sections. So there's so many things you could track and point out and make hypotheses about, but you really should focus on the things that matter. There's essentially 4 main KPIs in SEO. The first one is the amount of keywords that you actually rank for. Now, this report, I don't know why, when your website gets quite big and you do well SEO-wise, the amount of keywords that you actually rank for just stops working. It happens to all my clients. Luckily, they get big enough that it breaks, so there's nothing you can do there, but you know, that's there. This essentially tracks the most broad thing from SEO, which is, do you rank for a keyword? Boom, that's it, you rank. The thing that comes after that is an impression. So if I was to search this and I rank for it, then I rank for it. Then that counts as one keyword that you rank. But then if someone actually scrolls and suddenly, boom, imagine this was my website, this will appear as one impression because the URL has appeared in the screen. If I don't scroll and doesn't appear, the next URL that would be down there would not actually get an impression because it didn't appear. But if I do it, boom, it would do. Bam, bam. Now they got an impression. After that, of course, what is it that I do? I will go and I will open it. So that's a click. These 3 things are tracked by Google Search Console. And what you see here is Google Looker Studio. Is essentially a tool from Google that lets you connect data sources and display them in the way you want. It lets you do way more personalized reports. And that's what you need when you have an enterprise website. So you can see the keywords, impressions and clicks. You can see the source is from Google Search Console that they've changed the logo. I don't like the new logo. And now the last KPI and the most important one is the amount of conversions that you get in your website from people that come from SEO, and you track that inside Google Analytics. And it's actually quite tricky to track. It depends on how you have your website set up and so on. But the important thing, and that's good for you, is that I have already a full video on how to set up this report with a template. Like I teach you how to set it up if you want to do it for yourself, but I give you a template on how to connect it if you just don't want to do the whole thing like I did. So here's the video. It will appear here and it's in the description. So check it out after I'm done, or after you're done watching the video, after I'm done. Lately, an important thing you might want to track, but it's really not crucial like the other 4 that I explained, is the amount of traffic you get from AI platforms. So this is, in this case, Google Analytics. You can see it right there. And the filter is AI traffic. In this case, I think I explained it in the other video, but you need to choose that the source of those users is, and then you can put this here. You can pause and see, and essentially all the names of the AI tools. I didn't just type the name and that's it. Is the name that appears in the Google Analytics panel. So you need to go to Google Analytics, filter by this and see the names of these tools. So once you put that in this report, it will actually bring the traffic if it matches this specific name. And this is more for the person who executes. It might not be for the board or the manager. Like I said before, the Google Search Console KPIs, but on a per page level. So the amount of keywords that you rank for, impressions and clicks. Even in this report, you can do a hybrid in the middle, which this is for the full website. This is on a per URL basis, but you can also do it. If you see here, I have it as per page. So all the blogs are together in here. So you can see the performance of all the blogs together. And you can do this by playing with the filters down here. That's explained in the video tutorial. So there it is. These are all the things that if I had an enterprise website, or if I have clients, which I do, I would do that are different from just doing SEO. That's what I wanted this video to be. Not just how to do SEO, because that's the same for everyone, but is what are the most impactful things that should only be done with a big or enterprise website. So now remember, you have a lot of videos to watch. The last one is the one you see on screen on how to set up the report. So now it's your turn. Let's go.